given me and blessed me with, and taking my talents and trying to glorify Him through my passions and my talents. So.
Because we need Christians whose faith is alive right now.
God doesn't ask for anything in return from us. He just wants us to trust Him and believe that, He is the Almighty and sent His Son Jesus here to die on the cross to forgive us of our sins.
I'd rather share a Bible verse on Sunday morning with an audience of 100 than just try to sell products and not make any difference at all to an audience of 1 million. And then it's like, well, that's settled. Let's go.
We sit back and we develop this envious jealousy inside of us because somebody else is living the life that we want while we sit down and don't do anything about it. Get out, go enjoy it. What is up, everybody? My name is Tyler Pruitt. I am the host and founder of the Rise to Elite podcast. The Rise to Elite podcast exists to be a resource for people who love God, freedom, and the great outdoors. So if that's you, then you guys just came to the right place, because the Rise to Elite podcast, that's what we're all about. So thank you all for choosing to listen to the Rise to Elite podcast today. If this is your first time, I want to especially thank you guys for taking a risk and listening to the Rise to Elite podcast today, because you could be listening to just about anything right now, but you chose to listen to this show, and I truly appreciate that. And if this is your first time, go ahead and click that subscribe button, because I've got some great conversations lined out in the near future, and I don't want you guys to miss out on any of those episodes. Now, if you are a return listener, I want to thank you as well, because the Rise to Elite podcast, it could not exist without a loyal audience, and you guys are exactly it. And I'm humbled every time I look at the demographics. It truly is exciting to see that there's people from all across the country and all across the world, really. Literally people on the other side of the world from where I am right now are choosing to listen to the Rise to Elite podcast, and they're listening to this show on a weekly basis. So thank you guys for the incredible support. I appreciate all that you guys have done, and I appreciate you checking out the show and spreading the word. It's been absolutely incredible. So thank you guys for doing that. I've got a great episode lined up for you guys today. I've got a conversation with Brett Williams and Stephen Caudle of DoeNation Outdoors. They have an incredible platform that they use to help out people in need, and they are truly generous, and they have a great platform that they use to honor God through donations of meat and that kind of thing. And we're of course going to get into that here in just a second. But before we get into that, I want to ask you guys to connect with me on social media. I'm most active on Instagram, so you guys can find me on Instagram at the handle at RiseKillEat. So that's all lowercase, all together, at RiseKillEat. And then you can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/RKE All right, so that's RKE as in RiseKillEat Afield. So be sure to connect with me on those platforms, where I of course give updates on this podcast, but I will share some more content and that kind of thing as well. Also want to let you guys know that the Rise to Elite podcast is listener supported. So if you guys would like to support the Rise to Elite podcast and our mission of being able to continue to be a resource for people that love God, freedom, and the great outdoors, then you can go to the link that's down in the show notes of this show. You can click on that link and it'll take you directly to our podcast webpage. So you guys can support the show on a monthly basis right straight from that webpage. I think they've got amounts as low as like $1 a month. So if you guys are getting any kind of value from this, then I would just want to encourage you guys to check that out. So again, I've got Brett Williams and Stephen Caudle of DoeNation Outdoors on the Rise to Elite podcast today. I know you guys are going to enjoy this conversation. I know you guys are going to gain a lot from really just hearing their story and hearing their heart of generosity. And it truly inspired me, and I know you guys are going to enjoy it as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into my conversation with Brett and Stephen of DoeNation Outdoors. All right, so I'm sitting here with Brett Williams and Stephen Caudle of DoeNation Outdoors. I appreciate you guys taking some time out of your evening. I know you guys are in the middle of your work week right now, but I appreciate you taking a little bit of time to come on the Rise to Elite podcast with me.
Yeah, no problem, man. We appreciate you having us on.
Yeah, no problem at all. No problem at all. It's definitely my pleasure. I actually had Joe Bufford on here recently, and me and Joe were kind of talking after the fact, after we were done recording. He was giving me a whole list of guys that I should check out, and you guys were at the top of the list. And actually, this afternoon after work, I was talking to Joe, told him I was recording with you guys, so he had nothing but good things to say about you guys, and of course had to reach out, and I'm glad to actually be able to connect with you guys here on the show.
Man, it's hard to pinpoint something wrong with Joe Buffer too. I'm telling you, that's a man in touch with God. He's got a direct line. He's our go-to. Me and Stephen have a special prayer request or any issues in our life. Joe's a great friend and a godly man, and we're pleased to call him a brother.
Yeah, absolutely. Joe, he's been a big help for me too. Dealing with some things, especially right now with all this COVID stuff going on with church and everything, and it's he's been a great sound a voice, I guess, throughout the whole process, and helped me out as well. So I know you guys also were up here recently, up here in Kentucky, which I know, of course, is where I'm from, and it's of course where Joe's from. You guys were doing a little bit of hunting up here, weren't you?
Absolutely, yeah, we were. It was Stephen's hunt. I was actually running the camera, and Stephen drew the tag, so it was his turn. He made the most of it.
Yeah, man, we had a phenomenal weekend. I mean, we got in the stand opening morning, and 30 minutes later, we were taking pictures with a big old buck. So, I mean, you can't ask for more than that. We had a great 9-point slip in over a ridge on us right there at the crack of daylight. Man, he walked up 20 yards and just posed broadside, and man, it was a good shot, 12 ring shot, and he ran about 30 yards, crashed on camera, and man, that's how you start a season right there. We appreciate that, Kentucky.
Yeah, I need a little bit of whatever y'all are using, because I didn't have nearly as much luck, and I'm on the kind of a little bit of the other end of the state from you. But I need a little bit of whatever you guys got, because it didn't go quite as good for me. But that's awesome that you guys got that done. And where exactly were you guys? I mean, not exactly, but where around what region of the state were you guys in? Yeah, don't give me the coordinates or anything like that, but
yeah, we were a little south of Glasgow, Kentucky.
Yeah,
I think that's eastern Kentucky. So, man, we had a phenomenal time. It's beautiful country up there. Everybody was real nice. Everywhere we went to eat. We ended up taking the doe while we were there too. So, buddy that was hunting in camp, he donated the doe to us. So we come home with almost 100 pounds of deboned meat that's ready to go right into the process and get ground and right into a food pantry.
Man, that's awesome. That sounds like a pretty good opening weekend. I mean, that's what I love about Kentucky's hunting season, the way they kind of got it set up. And of course, I might be a little biased because this is where I was born and raised, but that's the thing I love about Kentucky's hunting season, especially whitetail, is that you get those early September hunts where they're still on their summer patterns, and you can have hunts like what you guys experienced this weekend, and everything just kind of comes together. And looking at it from a national standpoint, you kind of get somewhat of a first crack at the hunting season compared to some of the other states, because there's some that don't open up until October or whatever. So that's what I love about Kentucky.
Absolutely. Living here in Alabama, our season opens October 15th, and Stephen and I have always said, we watch Instagram and Facebook, stuff like that, and everybody posting pictures out in the Midwest and early season hunts, and we're like, we could just do that one day. And, here we are doing it. So It's the only negative to the early season is the no-see-ums and the mosquitoes and the heat. I mean, it was hot, and we was running the thermocell, but, I mean, you just you find you a shady spot, and you just sit it out.
Yeah, you ain't kidding about that, because I'm sitting here looking at my hands right now, because my hands were about the only things that were exposed over the weekend. And I've literally got about 25 to 30 mosquito bites all over my hands just from those dang bugs. Because, I mean, like you said, this weekend was actually a little bit cooler than what it has been, but it was about 80 degrees. And, as soon as that sun started to go down, those mosquitoes came out, and golly, they ate me up.
Yeah, the mornings were real nice. I think it was about 55 degrees on Saturday morning, so they were comfortable. It was just the afternoons they heated up pretty quick.
We got some pretty big ones here too. Those mosquitoes. That's actually the state bird for Alabama. So.
They get that big, huh?
they get something that'll clamp onto you and tote you off.
I guess I can't complain too much about mosquitoes up here, because I mean, being down in Alabama, that region, I mean, that's like you said, that's kind of that's what they're known for, I guess. I mean, you could almost have a mosquito hunting season.
We get a cold weather to hunt right there around January, second week in January. Rest of the time, we're pretty much wearing short sleeves.
There you go. I guess there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So you guys, of course, being down in Alabama, I mean, you guys from really, I was talking to Brett a little bit last night about your all's upcoming season. You guys really have quite a bit of a distance to travel to a lot of the places that you guys go to. I mean, Kentucky's probably not too far of a trip for you, but, you know, so how does that kind of work as far as, you know, planning hunting trips and, you know, having families and all that kind of thing?
It's a balancing act. I guarantee you. I got a 18-year-old daughter and a 15-year-old son, and Steven's got two daughters, 10 and 5. So it's definitely a balancing act. You know, for instance, we got 8 out-of-state trips this year on the calendar, and it's about every other weekend. So we're trying to balance it. When we're at home, we're focused on being at home and, you know, spending time with family. And when we're on the road, we're focused on killing deer and creating good footage for the show. So it's definitely a balancing act. We're very blessed in the respect that for the last 4 years we've had a local car dealership that puts us in a new truck on every trip. You know, new or used truck, but we can pull our trailer and we've saved a ton of miles and wear and tear on our vehicles. Let me tell you.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a good thing to get into because I mean those trips that can add up. I went to Oklahoma over the summer to meet with some of the Buckminsters guys, which I know you guys have a little bit of a history with. But I mean, I put well over 1,000 miles on my car in just, you know, a matter of a few days, and you know those miles. I mean, on your own personal car, they can definitely add up. But you know, more importantly though, like you were saying, that balancing the family time it's got to be crucial, especially, you know, whenever you guys are going all over the place doing hunts and doing films and everything. I've got a 4-year-old little girl and a 6-year-old little boy, and you know those hunting seasons, even, you know, like here at home, can get a little tricky. So I can just imagine having to go somewhere, you know, out of state, especially multiple weekends at a time. So that's got to be tricky for you guys.
Can be, yeah. We actually made a trip out to Oklahoma, Leedy, Oklahoma, right in the Panhandle last year to hunt with Garrett Roush and Name the Game Outfitters, and we drove there, left there after the hunt, drove to Indianapolis for the ATA, and then drove from Indianapolis back home. About 36 hours we logged in over about a 6-7 day period.
Man, that's a lot of driving. But
fortunately for me, Steven likes to drive, so I do all the stuff. Yeah, and I do a little producing while we're on the road, pull the computer out and go through footage and stuff like that. So it works out pretty good for me.
Yeah, that works out. That seems like you guys got a pretty good system there. That's awesome.
Yeah, it works out because I'm a control freak. I don't let Brett drive. I like to be behind the wheel, and he likes to do social media and computer work. So it just works out great. I guess that's the way the good Lord put us together.
That's awesome. That's great that you guys have that. So, of course, you guys have been, you know, hunting together and everything for a while. So, how does your all story kind of come together as far as, you know, your backgrounds with hunting and outdoors, and then of course meeting each other?
Sure, I'll kind of kick it off. We actually grew up less than a mile and a half away from each other. He was on a few years behind me in school, but you know we played sports at the same high school, and you know we actually worked together. We've been working together at the same company, manufacturing company, for 15 plus years, and you know that's kind of how it all came about. But I was introduced to hunting at a young age with my granddad and my dad, but they bird hunted, so we quail hunted. They go to Nebraska. They take me to Nebraska pheasant hunting and stuff like that. But I had an uncle that got me involved in bow hunting at age 14, and I was hooked. So I've bow hunted ever since then, and that's my passion is bow hunting. I'm not opposed to a rifle, but I feel like I'm more accurate with a bow in my hand than I am at a rifle. And don't say amen, Stephen.
Yeah, and it's about the same for me. I grew up hunting with my dad. You know, I killed a lot of Coke cans growing up. You know, he'd take me out there and sit me in the woods with a 410 for about an hour, and then he'd let me shoot Coke cans just to kind of pull the trigger. A lot of squirrel hunting, a lot of walking, and not seeing anything. But you know, that's kind of where we started. And grew up, got into bow hunting in my teenage years, and just fell in love with it. And now that's about all I'd like to do is just pick up a bow. We do some rifle hunting, like Brett said, but man, we really like the archery side.
Oh yeah, certainly, certainly. I can definitely relate to that. A buddy of mine, he got me into archery. It was actually just a few years ago, and because there for a while I was hunting just the modern gun season, which is our rifle season here in Kentucky. And it's only about 2.5 weeks, which is in November. But at the same time, like I was missing out on a ton of hunting just because wasn't I wasn't shooting archery yet. So he got me into it, and ever since then, I've just very similar to you guys. I've just kind of fell in love with it, and it's been something that I do more often. I look forward to it more now than I do the rifle season, because I mean, just I'm sure you guys are familiar with the Orange Army. I mean, once the Orange Army hits the woods, things change for those deer. Things change for just about everybody. So, but archery, of course, gives you an opportunity to hunt where there's a little bit less pressure.
Yeah, we like being close to the deer. There's a big adrenaline rush having a deer 20 yards from you just staring at you, and your knees start wobbling and your lips starts quivering. You fall in love with that adrenaline rush, and I don't think sometimes you always get that with a rifle in your hand and the deer's 200 yards away. Nothing wrong with that, but we like them up close and personal, and that's where we get that adrenaline rush from.
You learn so much by bow hunting, and in my opinion, I mean, you got to be better at scouting. You got to find the trails. You got to find where the deer are entering the field. You got to set up on them, and it's just more of a challenge. But again, no love lost for our rifle friends.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with it. Our kids hunt a lot with us, and they rifle hunt. They hadn't quite gotten into the bow hunting yet. I think they will, but for now, they enjoy rifle hunting, and they get that same emotion with shooting one with a rifle we would do with a bow. So, no matter the weapon, no matter the choice, it's all about getting in the outdoors and enjoying conservation and enjoying God's beauty. Honestly, that's what it really is for us. We spend a lot of quiet time, and I do a lot of prayer, meditating. When it's kind of them slow days in the stand, and it's a peaceful time for me. Kind of disconnect and reconnect with the Lord.
Yeah, certainly. That's something that, you even see Jesus doing that whenever, he's got all kinds of things going on. He's got people, coming up to him to try to get healed or, try to listen to his message. Sometimes he would just get away from everybody and he would go off by himself and just reconnect with the Father. And that's really, I mean, that's something that I think a lot of hunters, we have a connection with because we spend so much time out in the woods and we spend so much time in secluded places where there's not a whole lot of people. We have no other option except for praying and spending some time with God and kind of talking with God and listening to what he has to say to us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's definitely a time to kind of regroup, kind of give thanks. You watch the sun rise and the light come through the trees in the early morning, and it's beautiful. You sit there and realize you have a lot to be thankful for, that during a busy work week, you kind of lose focus and forget about what's really important and, really what our mission is as Christians. You get out there in the woods and it's time to refocus and, give thanks for everything we have. Good quiet time.
Yeah, definitely is. Definitely is. You guys mentioned too that, like the bow hunting, of course, it gives you the quiet time and everything that, as far as bow hunting goes, the scouting, I mean, how are you guys able to do some scouting, in ways that, if you have 8 different trips that you're going on and you obviously can't get really boots on the ground, and if you're mostly bow hunting, what are some ways that you guys, I guess, kind of take advantage of some scouting opportunities?
Yeah, so, our trip to Kentucky, we were able to go up there 2 weeks ago and throw up some stands, and we kind of got some ideas from the guy who leases the property where he thought some good places were. But, we put out some cameras up there, some Moultrie Mobile. So we were able to get those in the woods and get them on pinch points. And, we come home, we had 2 weeks just to sit there and watch camera pictures kind of roll in on our phone. So that was a big help. And, to be honest with you, on some of these trips that we've never been, we just have to rely on, the guide or, once we get there, we have to kind of figure it out if somebody's not helping us. And depends on what time of the season. Are we in rut? Is it early season? Food sources? Where are the does at sometimes? Or, trying to find a pattern for a buck. And really just depends on what kind of season we're in. As a hunter, that kind of differs for the deer. And you just got to be aware of that, what the situation is.
That's a huge part, I guess, of just the whole process is just figuring out, where they are. And like you were saying, depending on what time of the year it is. And like right now, like we were going back to Kentucky's early season, I'm hunting primarily over a soybean field right now, and they're coming in just about every evening, sometimes different spots, and they're kind of hanging out in different areas. But I mean, it just depends on the season, and that's great that you guys have those mobile cameras. It's crazy how just the trail camera, the game has really changed, over the past, I guess, 10 to 15 years. I remember being a teenager, 15 years ago, and having to actually go out and get the SD cards and switch them out and everything. And now you can literally have it sent straight to your phone. It's pretty cool how technology has advanced over the past couple of decades.
That's right. Yeah, we're 6 hours away from Kentucky, but we sit there and watch deer for 2 weeks. Every time your phone vibrates, you have to pick it up and look at it because you thought it may be another picture.
Yeah.
Just, when it's a doe, you're like, oh man, I thought that was going to be the big boy. It's those two. That's the fun part of it too, is checking cameras and just taking inventory, seeing what's out there. From Alabama, right here in Central Alabama, we don't see a lot of big bucks, so when we see those big bucks in Kentucky, man, it just gets you fired up. And, it's a lot easier to sit in a stand for hours when there's huge bucks. And Kentucky's definitely got some huge bucks.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I've always bragged on our fish and wildlife program because I feel like we've got some of the best fish and wildlife, I guess, departments in probably the nation, I think, just because of the way we have the management set up. I mean, you're only allowed to take one buck in Kentucky a year, but I mean, a lot of people, they get all upset about that. But at the same time, like, you're consistently every year you're seeing, big bucks because, people have let them walk or they've been able to survive and, be able to get through the previous season, because once hunters get their one antlered deer, I mean, that's it for them. So, it of course limits the number of bucks you can get, but it's gonna produce higher quality ones. And I think states that have similar, I guess, conservation efforts, I mean, you see a lot of the same kind of thing in those kind of states as well.
Yeah, we appreciate it. We get the opportunity to travel to Kentucky just for that reason, because we know that they have good management. They're growing big deer year after year, and your odds of seeing a big buck there, is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
We actually saw 3 really nice bucks the last day of our hunt. We're sitting on the edge of a soybean field, just like you said. They come up the edge of that field and walked about 10 yards up under us, and I would say the smallest one was above 140.
Yeah.
And the big one was probably mid 150s. And for 2 old Central Alabama guys, boy, we were pumped. We were fired up. It was beautiful to see them. So
that's awesome. I'm glad you guys had a good hunt. And whenever I first connected with you guys a couple weeks ago to get you guys on the Rice Kill Elite podcast, you all said that you were going to be up here hunting in Kentucky opening weekend. I'm glad you guys were able to have a good weekend of hunting here in Kentucky. And of course, I also want to have you guys on to discuss DoeNation Outdoors. So where does that idea kind of come from? What inspired DoeNation to actually, come about?
So when we started, we really didn't have anywhere to hunt. We was hunting behind Stephen's father-in-law, hunting behind my uncle's place, and we went an entire season of filming, didn't kill a deer. We actually saw two fawns, yearling does, and I was telling Stephen to shoot, and he wouldn't shoot. But we really struggled. But we had a friend that managed some property local to us, and a doctor's property. He had personal land, and he had a lease, and quite a big lease, about 2,000 acres. And he said, if you'll go in and clean the roads and kind of help me clean stands, move stands, and the kind of work we enjoy doing, he said, I'll let you shoot does only. And you can hunt till about December when the rut kicks in. Me and my family will hunt that side, and you'll have to, move out. So we did. We started hunting, started getting a couple of kills on film, and, we put a few things out on YouTube and, social media, mainly for family and friends to laugh at us. But, we said we got to come up with a name. And, it just kind of come to us. I think we were sitting in the truck, and I told Stephen, I said, he may make the comment, you know, we don't kill bucks, so we can't eat anything with bucks. And I said, well, what about DoeNation? You know, and we both looked at each other and smiled, and that's how DoeNation was born. It was actually another full year later before we started donating the meat. So now it looks like we had the greatest play on words, but I mean, I just think that was the good Lord working that out, because now we donate 100% of our harvest to area food pantries, as well as, you know, shoot a lot of does. We love a doe. You know, we like a big buck and like a mature buck, but we never rarely pass on the doe. You know, folks ask us a lot, said, you know, you see any bucks? And we're like, no, shot the first doe, walked out there, you know, put her in the truck and came home. Yeah. So that's kind of how DoeNation was born. You know, the show has continued to evolve, and you know, in our humble opinions, has continued to evolve to a level that, you know, we're getting a better show and better footage, better camera. I mean, all that comes with work and obviously time and money investment. But, you know, it's kind of evolved, you know, from the ministry standpoint. The why for DoeNation is the ministry. We want to donate. We want to help feed those that are food insecure, and we want to make a difference. We want to give a sustainable meat that's lean and is good for people to enjoy, and give that out to the community, those that need it. You know, we primarily or pretty much only do food pantries. We get asked a lot to donate to personal people, or, you know, kill me a doe, and, you know, it may not be the people that actually need it. So we stay true to our word, and we stay true to 100%. You know, we donate. It's hard to see them old back straps go through a grinder in the hamburger, but we do everything in the 1 pound packs of burger, you know, and that can go into spaghetti, chili, hamburgers. We like to think of it as that feeds 4 individuals, a family of 4. Mm-hmm. Over the last 4 years, we finished our 4th season. It's airing currently on local market, but we've donated 5,462 pounds, and that's fed roughly 22,000 people. That's awesome. Over the last 4 years. So, I mean, the Lord has blessed it. It continues to grow, and it's only because of Him. I mean, He's given us this desire, and He's given us a way to truly reach out to the community and show, you know, Christ's hands and feet to those that need it.
That's incredible that you guys have been able to donate that much. Is, you know, to kind of go back to a little bit of my background. I mean, I was one of those kids that, like, a lot of the food pantry, I mean, a lot of that food, it came to my house just because we weren't necessarily economically, I don't know what the word is, but economically blessed. But I mean, like, so I can definitely relate to that on a personal level. And that's incredible that you guys have been able to do that and be able, like you said, just to use it as a ministry, use it as a platform. That's awesome. To kind of go back to the name a little bit, DoeNation, you know, I'd seen it on paper and I'd seen it like on Instagram and everything, but it wasn't until I actually said it out loud. I was like, that is the most clever thing I think I've ever heard. DoeNation. Like, like, that is awesome. I thought that was really cool that you guys, I guess I came upon that. I don't know if by accident or whatever, but I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, that's a catchy name, and it really makes sense. I mean, we love to hunt. We love to archery hunt. Man, we love to shoot does. I mean, it's just, we get fired up. You know, I get just as rattled shooting a old mature doe as I do a buck. I mean, they're smart. They can smell you, and man, they'll drive you crazy. Mm-hmm. You know, just the name is so fitting. And what's even more fitting is we didn't know where the good Lord was taking that, and to turn around a year later and start donating deer meat, and now it looks like it was the greatest play on words, but we never intended that. We named it that because we never shot a buck, you know, and the good Lord like, listen, I got a plan. Y'all just do what I ask you to do, and I'll take care of it from there. And that's really how we've operated the last 6-7 years. It's just, you know, we pray about DoeNation. We pray about the people we meet. We pray about the doors that He opens, and we pray that He closes the doors that we don't need to go through. And, man, we could tell you some stories over the last 7 years of just incredible things that have happened to us and incredible opportunities we've come across. And, you know, we feel like if we keep the Lord out front, He'll take care of the rest. If we meet Nicky Browder, you know. Yeah, we've met a guy named Nicky Browder on another ministry hunt last year. became good friends with him. He's the one that's got the lease in Kentucky that we just killed this buck and doe on. So, I mean, the good Lord just keeps opening doors for us. So, you know, maybe he's listening to us.
Maybe we're listening to him. He's just rewarding us.
That's right.
So was the keeping God in the center, was that something that you guys had planned to do from the beginning, or was that something that maybe came on later on, or was that part of the plan initially?
Well, I'm gonna say, not really. When we first started filming, we had taken a hunt to an outfitter that filmed us. We wasn't filming at the time. It was like a bucket list hunt. A bunch of guys wanted to get together and just go pay for a hunt and kill deer. So when we got there, they put the guide in the tree with us, and he filmed our hunt. And then when we got home, they sent us the thumb drive, and that's really got me and Brett thinking we should film each other. So when we first started filming, we just wanted to be on somebody's field staff. We wanted to be able to send somebody our footage, and maybe they'd show it on TV. So I think, the more serious we got about it, the more that the Lord come into it, because, we were thankful to be doing that. And eventually we're thankful to give back, because, we know it's a blessing, and, it's God's grace that we get to go out there and enjoy the outdoors. So now we use that to give back, and be a blessing to somebody else.
Yeah, it's great.
Absolutely. Steve likes to share a story, and I'll let him share it. But, just the doors that it's opened for us to share with men's groups, brotherhood breakfasts, wild game dinners. We traveled to Arkansas in February of this year, and got to share with a big group of guys over there, and had some accept the Lord, and rededications and stuff like that, and that's very rewarding. But I'll let Stephen kind of tell you how that came about.
Yeah, so you can probably tell just for your conversations with Brett that he's the talker of this relationship. So Brett came up to me one day at a football game. It was a Friday night football game. He said, "Hey, man, I think I got us a speaking engagement at a men's breakfast." And I said, "No, you didn't get us one, because I'm not speaking." And he kind of laughed it off. Next week, we're back at another Friday night football game. He said, "Hey, man, we're going to speak in 2 weeks." I said, "Man, I'm not speaking. Now, that's not what I do." He said, "Man, well, I feel like if we don't speak, God won't bless us." And we've been speaking ever since. Mm-hmm. So he kind of hung that over my head. Now we'll travel anywhere. We love to go speak, especially men's breakfast or wild game dinner. It's just something we can get a bunch of men together. Because, we're encouraging men to get involved with DoeNation to help donate deer. Go fill your freezer up and then donate a doe. We got a lot of men in our local area, really across the state, that are trying to get involved. That's how it works. We told you we donated 5,400 pounds worth of deer meat, but that's also people helping. We go out and we find processors that are willing to get involved with us, tell them about the ministry. And really, it's really they're the ones that make this whole thing work, because they're doing it right now for no charge. A hunter can take a deer in there and say, "Hey, this is for DoeNation Outdoors," and they take it from them free of charge. Mm-hmm. So it ain't just us donating the 5,000 pounds. We're having some help, and that's usually what we hit on when we speak. Let's find a processor in your area that believes in the ministry and believes in giving back, and shares the same beliefs that we share. And man, let's get people plugged in. Let's find a food pantry. There's always somebody willing to take some meat. So let's use what God's given us to bless somebody else.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's awesome that you guys have done that. And it's like I said, going back to a little bit of my background, I was one of those kids that relied a lot on the food coming from food pantries. So to know that there's guys out there who are using their platform to spread generosity, and of course do it in a way that's going to honor God, it's just absolutely incredible. And it's great that you guys have of course, had these speaking engagements too. Of course, you're on this podcast. I know you guys have done other things as well, but kind of going back to what you were saying, is that the only thing I know the only thing I know how to talk about is my faith and hunting. So that of course brings me down to the Rice Elite podcast. I know that's something you guys can relate to too. So those are the only two things I know how to talk about. So if we can use those platforms like what you guys have going on to, of course, lead men and lead people to to Christ and use it in a way that's going to honor God. It's incredible to see how God blesses that whenever we finally take that leap of faith and we step out in faith and be able to actually, start listening to what he's telling us. I mean, my pastor, he gave me some of the best advice. He said, listen to Jesus and do what he tells you to do. And I mean, that's exactly, what it kind of comes down to. And it's crazy how much he blesses us whenever we're obedient to that.
Yeah, we kind of operate around the verse of Acts 20:35, which, Jesus says it's better to give than to receive.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of take that with us everywhere we go, and that's kind of the cornerstone of what we're doing. That's our mission, is to give back. So God's been really good to us, and if we can use it to be a blessing to somebody else, our little local food pantry right here in Elmore County, they're serving 500 families a month. So we, Brett and I, we'll take 300 pounds over there on a Friday, and they'll have a give out on Saturday, and they'll give every bit of it away. It's kind of been a play on words, but they call us the Doe Boys. They'll come there and ask. Yeah, they'll say, "Hey, the Doe Boys been by?" Because they're looking for that deer meat. They know that it's lean. They know it's healthy. They know it's great. I mean, it's great eating, and they look for it. So we can't give enough. You think taking 2,000 pounds of meat over there, you're doing something, but there's always somebody else that needs some. And the more people we can get involved, the more processors we can find, the bigger we can grow this thing, the more the Lord's going to get the credit for it. And, even from an educational standpoint, the people who don't hunt, we're just not out there, murdering deer. We're giving this thing to the people in our community, our neighbors, our friends, and sometimes our families. These people right here live across the street that we're helping. So.
You guys must have something about Alabama down there. It's just you guys are really good with play on words, I guess, because Doughboys and DoeNation. I mean, that's just that's great. But no, you're right though about the whole education thing, though. I mean, because I think a lot of people, especially people who don't hunt or maybe aren't familiar with it, or they didn't grow up in it, or they don't have family members, or whatever the issue may be. I think there is a general stereotype that some people will label on a hunter that they're just out there, like you said, murdering deer, or they're just out there just to get their grip and grin picture, if they even know what a grip and grin is. Grip and grin picture with a deer, and then they just leave it laying there. And when, of course, none of that's true, and it's great to see people like you and people that are utilizing the meat and doing it in a way that's, of course, being generous to people that are in need, and being able to donate this stuff to people who may not be getting food otherwise. Like, you got people literally waiting for the food to get there, most likely because that's that time of year, that may be what they're relying on to make sure they're getting nutrition. So I think it's, of course, great. And then and having that biblical base of Acts 20:35. One of the things I was reading that passage a little bit before I got connected with you guys, and because I'm actually doing a study in Acts, the book of Acts right now, which is pretty interesting. But just a couple of days ago, I read that and I saw it on your all's website. And verse 33 says that I have not coveted anyone's silver or gold. And I was like, well, that's a perfect, I guess, kind of segue into kind of talking about, that you guys have a show, a platform, of course, around like doe, female deer. But if you turn on, like any kind of hunting show, you're going to see big bucks. So, I mean, I think it's kind of interesting that you guys have targeted a gender of deer that a lot of people don't necessarily pay a whole lot of attention to. They're just kind of like the one that you let walk by kind of thing. And I think it's, I guess, in a world of big bucks, I think it's great that you guys have really brought attention and brought that education piece to, the hunting industry.
Don't get us wrong, Tyler. We like to shoot bucks too.
Well, yeah, of course, right.
Many of those. We do our duty. We get a lot of opportunities to come in and do some doe management. Some of these areas that sell maybe trophy hunts and stuff, they don't. Somebody comes in, shoots their trophy, they're done. They're not interested in helping with doe management. But as well as I do that buck to doe ratio and that herd's got to be in a healthy balance for the deer to thrive, for the bucks to get bigger, for it to be enough food for the fawns, for the does to grow and be proper size. I mean, all that plays into it. the management side of it. So, we get a lot of those type opportunities to come in and specifically, target does. So, I mean, we have no qualms about it. We love to shoot a doe, but don't get us wrong now. We go out to Oklahoma and the 130 to 160 walks out, there'll be an arrow let loose.
Right. Of course. I mean, of course you can't let those big bucks go by, but can't forget about the does either. So
Yeah, if you have does that you need thinned out, man, we have bow and we'll travel. So,
that's right.
Yeah, every time we go to an outfitter, we usually shake hands, do introduction, and Brett asks if we can shoot does. I know it's funny, but we've had disagreements in the stand, a little bit of bickering back and forth because we have a doe out on the field, and Brett would be shooter, and I'm like, man, let's just wait a minute, let's see if a buck comes out. So we definitely don't waste any time. We like to fill the coolers up because there's a mission. We got a little hashtag that we put with some of our stuff on social media that says hunting with a purpose. Mm-hmm. And that's the purpose. The purpose is we're going to fill coolers because we have people that need it. And we get picked at every now and then about putting back straps in the cooler. They're like, y'all don't keep them? Like, no. If we kept them, then we wouldn't be donating 100%. It's not about Brett and I. Brett and I have been blessed enough that we can go to the grocery store and we can buy meat. This is about giving back because we know that we've been blessed. So that's the purpose, that's the mission, and that's DoeNation. So that's what it is.
That's great. So you guys do 100%, like all of your deer meat. You guys donating all of it.
Absolutely.
That's great. So how does that whole process work for you? I mean, I know you got into it a little bit, but I mean, so from the time that you pull the trigger, doe's on the ground, to it's on the plate at somebody's house. I mean, how does that whole process kind of work for you guys from your perspective?
So, of course, out of state, with CWD being so rampant, or states trying to keep it from joining their state, with Alabama's laws, any state we come from has to be deboned. Mm-hmm. If we do shoot a buck, it has to be free of brain matter and the skull clean, and every precaution taken to make sure we're importing the meat and the deer in a manner. No bones, no opportunity for cross-contamination. So, when we travel, we shoot the deer. We take it back to the skinning shed. We skin the deer and we debone the deer right there, pack it on ice, and it travels home with us. Once we get it home, or when we're hunting around here, we have to participate in processors. And what's really cool with the processors is we try to find a processor in each county. So we tell them, if you take this deer meat, it's going to go back to your friends, your relatives, your community that need it. So we're very specific about if it's donated in that community or that county, it goes to a food pantry. That food pantry may be served through a local church. We do that over here in our little local area. And then we got several food pantries and food banks that we give to. But it's been exciting to see it expand. We're up to 6 or 7 food processors now, deer processors, even up in North Alabama. We're donating deer in Tennessee and Arkansas now. So, I mean, what Steve and I intended to grow a county per year was our initial, if you want to say 2 to 5 year plan, was to see the ministry grow. It's already expanded out of state. So, I mean, it's really humbling. But once they get that meat, they grind it into all burger and 1 pound packs. And then when it's ready, Stephen and I go pick it up and we make the delivery. And then, like Stephen hit on earlier, they have serve days and that meat's given out. We hear stories about clients saying that they prefer the deer meat over chicken and beef. Mm-hmm. They'd rather have the deer. So, I mean, you know as well as I do, elk, deer, all that's a very lean meat. And don't get me wrong, we do some travel, obviously, and when we go into camp and stuff, folks may cook us some deer meat, but it's not deer we harvested. But at any rate, we still get our fix. We get asked that a lot of times, what, y'all don't like deer meat? We love deer meat. But, that's just where our heart is. We want to donate 100%. So, we get a little backstrap every now and then when we travel, to hunting camp or, some elk fajitas or something like that. And we certainly enjoy it. But like Stephen said, I mean, if we want meat, we can go to the store and we're in a position we could buy it for our family. So, when we can take that meat and give it back, that's the true purpose. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, I think it's just that selflessness, I think is what I think is really incredible about your all's platform, is that, because I'm sitting here trying to put myself in your all's shoes, and as much as I want to say that I could do the same, I don't know if I could. I just love deer meat, but 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 no, I do think that the selflessness, I think, is something that obviously it's helping, of course, local communities. And I know you guys are seeing the impact of that, and I know you're seeing it firsthand and being able to be there, like, on the ground and handing it to these families. But I think, of course, I think it honors God as well. I mean, like we've said, just a minute ago, that I think He honors us whenever we are, putting Him first. And, I think our relationship with Jesus it's not like it's something that gets added on to our lives. It's something that replaces our life. Like He says, die to yourself. And I think I think you guys in a way are kind of doing that same kind of thing, because you're putting yourself aside. Like, I mean, of course you are getting a little bit of it, but like you were saying, it's not your goal is to do the 100%. And I just think that generosity, I think, is inspiring. And I think it's something that's pretty incredible about DoeNation Outdoors. Pretty incredible about what you guys have done. So, if somebody was interested in starting something similar to DoeNation Outdoors, or they wanted to expand off the name of DoeNation Outdoors with what you guys are doing directly, I mean, how does that process kind of work with other, in other states and other regions?
Yeah, so man, one of our visions is to have DoeNation all across the country. I mean, we want to serve everybody, right? We want this thing to really grow, and obviously we want the Lord in the front of it. But we'd love to start chapters across the country. Find like-minded hunters that understand the mission, that believe in what we're doing, and man, we'll jump in there and help you find a processor. We'll help you find some people in your community to kind of get behind you, and we can start chapters all across the country. All it takes is somebody with a heart for Jesus and a heart for the mission, and kind of understands the purpose. And man, we can start you a chapter, and you can be a DoeNation Kentucky chapter if you want to. And we can get you plugged in and get you giving back, and find you a food pantry. And then all it takes is just letting the arrow sling or shooting the old smoke pole and dropping some does. And it'll be hard to begin with. Yeah, it's not hard. I mean, it's just being willing, and being consistent with what we're doing. So
we thought it was going to be difficult to donate the meat. Stealing, like, we go in and sit down with the director at the food pantry, tell her our idea and what we want to do, and we were like, oh, it's going to be all this red tape. And they're like, no, we'll take every ounce you can get us. Certified deer processor in the state of Alabama is fine to work with. I mean, it doesn't have to be USDA approved, but they do have to be certified through the health department. So, it was easy. Another open door, another way the Lord just said, let me worry about those small things.
That's right. We've got some bylaws that we've created, but really all the bylaws are, we want godly men.
Mm-hmm.
Or women. It doesn't matter. We want somebody who's got the heart of the Lord. We want trustworthy people that are going to respect the name of DoeNation. Obviously, if they're going to be using it, and use it in a manner that's pleasing to the Lord. Obviously, respect the animals, respect the game. A big heart for people, and all that just comes with understanding the mission and believing in the mission. So it's not hard to get involved.
Yeah, that was one of the I guess the other questions I had for you was that, of course, every kind of food pantry, every kind of food organization, they have some kind of rules as far as what types of meat and that kind of thing that they can come through. But I mean, it sounds like, at least in the state of Alabama, and I'm sure in a lot of states around the area, that they probably have something pretty similar. I mean, do you guys have resources, or do you guys have people that you guys specifically talk to in order to determine those types of rules or anything like that?
Usually we just lean on the food pantries. Each food pantry have a director, and we'll just sit down with them and say, is there anything that we need to be aware of? Is there anything you require? And, with everyone that we've dealt with so far, they're like, we don't. Just make sure it's clean and wrapped properly, and we'll take as much as you can get, as fast as you can get it.
How many hunters do you have typically, like in a certain area that may donate to a specific pantry? Do you have other hunters in the area that are kind of teamed up with you guys that kind of help out?
Consistently, we may have 30 to 40 in our local area.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing is we don't advertise a lot for our food process, our deer processors, because one, they're doing it for free, so we know that they're trying to make a living and they're working hard to earn their money. Right. We don't want to take anything away from them. So usually, it's just word of mouth, and obviously we have them listed on our Facebook and we speak to them, but we don't want to bombard them either because we know that they're doing a service free of charge. But actually this year we're looking into paying the processors per pound. We feel like we've gotten to a spot, and some of our sponsors that are willing to kick in and just take care of them, because really the processors are the one that makes all this work.
Yeah.
Without processors we couldn't do this. Obviously Brett and I, we're not wanting to get into the processing business because we like to hunt.
Right.
So, but without the processors, it wouldn't be possible. So we really need to figure out a way to get back to them and make sure they're covered on their end, because they're really doing us a good favor.
Yeah, that deer processing, man, that's a tough gig, and they're working, especially come October, November, man, it's sun up to sundown, people coming in dropping their deer off. That's a lot of hard work, especially if you're doing that for free. I can definitely understand where you're coming from with that aspect of it.
Yeah, we have some processors. They can put a cap on. If you can just do 4 deer, you can do 10 deer. Really, whatever makes sense to the processor. We're asking for anything. We're not telling you to do 100. You tell us what you want to do, and we're perfectly fine with it, because every pound means something. So even if you do 4 deer, you're probably looking at 80 to 100 pounds of meat. That's 400 people you just fed. So, every little bit counts.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad I was able to connect with you guys, and I appreciate you taking some time this evening to discuss DoeNation Outdoors and really your all's mission, and of course keeping Jesus in the front seat of the whole process. And that's pretty awesome that you guys have done that. So where can they connect with you guys? Where can they check out your platforms, connect with you on social media, all those types of things?
Yeah, the easiest way is social media. Facebook and Instagram. Of course, we're on YouTube, and I know we've talked about it the entire podcast, but it's DoeNation, DOE. It's spelled DOE Nation instead of the typical word donation. But look us up on Instagram, Facebook. Our website is on all those. It's easy click. Takes you there. It tells you a little bit more about the show, the ministry, and way to donate and stuff like that. So we have a lot of options out there. Email's pretty straightforward. It's DoeNationOutdoors@gmail.com. But that's usually on our website. You can hit contact us, and we get that email, and we get messages on Facebook. We try to respond as soon as possible. Not always during work, but we don't leave a message unturned. We return all of them. So, it's pretty easy to get in touch with us. Actually, you would think it'd be tougher, but we take great pride in telling people about the ministry and getting more people involved. It's just really contagious. It seems like the more people we tell about it, the more it grows, and the more people want to be involved, and really like the idea. So, we're currently airing in the Alabama market. This is our 4th season on the local market. We're on 2 ABC affiliates, one in Central Alabama, one in North Alabama, that covers Alabama and covers Southern Tennessee. And we've been very blessed there. We just aired our 10th episode this past Sunday, and we got 3 more. We run 13 episodes like a typical show does for a quarter, and the Lord's really blessing it. We're starting to gain some traction. We're starting to pick up some national attention, and hopefully the good Lord continues. We feel like He continues to move us in that direction. We want to continue to do the local markets. We got some fantastic local sponsors that we provide them a service with advertising, but we've really been praying about it, and we kind of feel the Lord nudging us to move this to a national stage. That's how we're really going to see the growth, and that's how we're going to start developing these chapters and see DoeNation really take off and continue to serve a lot of people. So Q4 of next year, we're looking to move to a national network. We're still working out the details. We're still looking for sponsors, too. So, if you know anybody, Tyler, just let us know. But
Right.
Right. The Lord's provided this far, and we're positive that He's going to continue to provide.
Thank you so much for all the information. I'll make sure all that stuff, it ends up down in the details of the show. I mean, everybody can go down there, and I'll hyperlink everything, and they can click on those links directly from the details and be able to check out DoeNation Outdoors. And I've watched some of your all's episodes, your recent ones, and I've really liked the show itself. And I think you guys are doing it the right way. And I think, of course, honoring God in the process. And, I appreciate you guys, being on the Rice Elite podcast with me.
Yeah, absolutely, Tyler. Our show ends each week with a hunting grace segment. That's usually typically a local pastor, or Pastor Joe's done those for us each year. He actually did 2 this year and close out our show. So we share Christ in every episode. I mean, we want our show to come across as, we're hunters, but, we love the Lord and we love good godly fellowship. And, at the end of the show, we're going to tell you we love Christ and Christ loves you. So, that's the way we typically like to close. But, Tyler, we appreciate you having us on. Appreciate you reaching out to us. And, Lord, I hope we can get together, and I hope our paths cross real soon. Hopefully we can hunt together one day.
Man, that'd be awesome. I'd love to get that squared away and get that figured out, because I'd love to be able to connect with you guys. Yeah, I'm okay with that. We'll work that out. So, all right, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right, there you go. There is my conversation with Brett and Steven of DoeNation Outdoors. I know you guys gained a lot from that. That was a truly inspiring story that they have, and just being able to hear their heart of generosity towards other people is just absolutely incredible. So thank you guys for listening to the Rice Elite podcast today. I want to ask that if you guys got any kind of value from today's episode, then to leave the Rice Elite podcast a rating and review on the podcast platform that you're listening on. Ratings and reviews help out the show a ton. I mean, I have to thank all you guys that have already left those ratings and reviews, and to see that those numbers continue to grow and to see the kind words that you guys are putting out there is truly inspiring and encouraging for me, being the producer and the founder of the show. So thank you all so much for that. And if you guys do get any value from the show, I just want to ask that you guys will leave that rating and review on the podcast platform that you guys are listening on. So again, thank you so much for checking out the Rice Elite podcast today. Click that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our weekly episodes, and be sure to tune in to the Rice Elite podcast next week. So until then, those of you guys that are out hunting right now, with the season starting, I want to wish you guys the best, and hopefully you guys are able to get some meat in the freezer and some animals on the ground, and be sure to tune into the Rice Elite podcast next week. See you guys later.